Hey, it's Jamie from 94.3 The Shark, everything that rocks. I'm joined here in the Shark Zoom room with Long Island's own Gamblers. Guys, how are you doing today?
We're
Great,
great,
thank you.
Jamie. Happy to be here with you on the Shark.
Well, I'm happy to be chatting with you guys too. So I'm very excited about your new album coming out. It's called Pulverizer and it'll be out on March 29th. Now, I want to get back to the beginning. Like, how did you guys get together?
Johnny and I grew up together in Massapequa, and we've been, pretty much throughout the entire time, like best friends, going back to third grade. And we had like a bunch of different bands throughout the years. When we were coming up together, we played in some local bands and did some touring together. And then years later, I ended up playing in another band from Long Island called Yankee Longstraw, and I was on tour with them, and I struck up a friendship with the guitar player of that band, who was named Gary, who was he started the band Gamblers with me. He's no longer in the band, but we kind of started it as a side project of this other band that we were touring with, and it just kind of grew into us wanting to take it more seriously. And then I actually recruited Johnny from growing up. And I mean, we were still playing with each other in different iterations and stuff. And I said, why don't you join this band? And then it just kind of grew into what it is now over the years. And we got Jimmy almost 5 years ago, which is amazing that he's been with us this long. We wanted him in the band sooner, but the timing wasn't right at the time. And then he joined in 2019.
I was
And
focusing on my soloist career as a oboe player at the time, but I'm back to guitar these days. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. We finally put a record out in 2020 during the pandemic, and from there we put out like a remix EP, which was 5 songs from that album in 2022, and we had a couple featured guests on it. And that EP ended up doing really well for us, and kind of changed everything in terms of the course of our career. We got signed to a management company and a new distribution. We got a distribution deal, and that kind of brings us to where we are now with Pulverizer coming out, which is our first album under this sort of new deal that we got.
And I know with everything that we've all been going through these past couple of years and just everything that you guys have been going through these past couple of years, do you find that music can help as a coping mechanism to help you get through these difficult times?
Yeah, I process everything through a layer of like music or movies or story. Real life is sometimes, I mean, I think a lot of people might relate to this, is sometimes really harsh to process. And of course we have to, adapt and understand the environment we're in. But I kind of definitely do that through music, through art. It's a little easier way, like for me to talk about a character and learn about a character's growth or a struggle that they've gone through. If it relates to something in the real world, well, it might be more inspirational to me than actually talking to like friends or family going through similar stuff. I think that's what it's there for. If there's a purpose to art beyond just being and existing, it's about processing some stuff in a circuitous way. So this album has been like doing that for me. Making this album was a bit of that for me. Sure.
I don't know. Life kind of happens like on top of music. It's not really like music takes me away from life. I'm always kind of in music mode. So that's
I
my
mean,
view.
from my perspective, that notion like rings true kind of more than ever with this release. It's been like a really challenging few years for me personally, and I was kind of processing a lot through it, and then it simultaneously was like symbolizing and foreshadowing things that ended up happening in my life. But like a couple of things that like happened were, I had a 7-year relationship come to an end, so I'm processing that on this album. I had some really close people to me that I lost, like my grandfather and my mother, processing that. And I think like some of the lyrics were like oddly foreshadowing some of those things, because like my mom passing was really recent and the album was done already before that happened, but there's also, it still feels like I was kind of dealing with it through the process of her illness and stuff like that. And then I went through a really bad car accident where actually 4 people were killed, and I skated by really luckily. I was involved in it. I think like even with the album art, like a bunch of the crushed cars, like it's a little on the nose. It's not like so specifically about that accident, but it's like I feel like this was just the biggest processing event, like hopefully that I ever have to deal with. So I definitely relate to that. I also want to give these guys a shout out because everything was turned in terms of the manufacturing for the new album. And then my mom ended up passing. Like, I think it was actually the same week that everything was turned in. And these guys took it upon themselves to like go back and update the artwork without my knowledge. And they actually dedicated the album to my mom's memory, like in the credits. So just want to give these guys a shout out. I haven't publicly done that except for like my own social media. So
yeah, of course, man.
So sweet. That is really sweet that you were able to do that.
Yeah, she's a part of the album for sure.
Yeah, she's like my second mom growing up. Great lady.
Now, we've been playing 2 tracks off the album on 94.3 The Sharks' Fresh Blood. There's the title track, Pulverizer, and Running From My Grave. If this is just a taste of what the album's going to be like, it's going to be really something special, and I can't wait to hear the rest of it. And what are you hoping that fans take away from this album after they listen to it?
If there's any kind of message throughout, I mean, each song's its own little party, but if there's any sort of overall message of the album, it is kind of what we're talking about. Is life hits you with hard-ish, but that doesn't mean it's time to stop partying. I mean, like, there's things to celebrate throughout. There's beautiful things in all the mess. And I think the album is a fun album, even though it's talking about a lot of mess. So I guess if there's any takeaway message, it's that. But really, I just want people to like enjoy their day with a little extra pep in their step because of this album. I mean, that's what music does for me, is like just enhances my day. Simple goal there, but yeah, hope someone like, shakes their ass to it. Or Heine, I'm sorry, I forget it. I forget we're probably not cursing on it.
It's absolutely true. All of you guys have grown up on Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Can you just say like what your favorite thing is to do here?
Yeah, I have a really basic answer, but it's this is the pizza capital of the world. Hey guys, I've been to New York City. I've been to Rome. It's Long Island. Get the pizza.
Thank you. I learned of your band when you submitted, I think you guys submitted a song for our local artist spotlight, which we do on Fresh Blood. Each week we highlight a different local artist and we ask local Long Island bands to send in their music. And we've been able to do this for the past, I think, 4 years. So it's really great that we've built up this sense of community and getting the word out about these bands who they might never hear about them otherwise.
It's an amazing thing that you guys do. It's really important. And, it's funny because I won't mention, other stations, but like I remember we got on WFUV before we got on like some local radio. And I was just like, man, like Long Island, what are we doing here, man? Like, we got to get our stuff together. We got to support each other, and then you shortly around that time, I think the Sharks started playing us. So like you've been a great example of what I always want, which is like, we got to support the original music we have here, like we don't need another cover band night at so-and-so, like whatever, no hate, mild hate. We just don't need that anymore. We don't need that. Like, it's like, we got to support the original music that's coming out of here.
This is what makes the Long Island music scene so great. Like, we all have to come together. And even though like we're in the era of streaming and Spotify, there is still something special about having your song played on the radio. And that really means a lot that we can do that for the community. Absolutely.
I mean, it's still like, it never gets old. It never gets old. I mean, and like I put the Shark right up there. Like, it never gets old. It's definitely super important and something that we don't take lightly.
Well, we're very excited about your new album coming out. It's called Pulverizer. It'll be out on March 29th. And I understand that you're going to be celebrating the record's release at a big show coming up. I think it's on the 30th. Tell us who's going to be there.
Yeah. So we have a few shows coming up this month. We're opening for a band called Felicity at Brooklyn Monarch on the 26th of March. We're playing at a place called Ortlieb's in Philadelphia with Atomic Life on 29th, which is actually the day it comes out. But yeah, thank you for setting that up. The release show is at a venue on the Lower East Side called Heaven Can Wait. And we have ourselves, Atomic Life, which is the new band from our good pal, Billy Reimer, who is the drummer of Dillinger Escape Plan, is the drummer of Dillinger Escape Plan because they're coming back now. And there's also a former member of Glassjaw. So, two pretty interesting Long Island connections there. And then we have Beat Radio, who is a great band from Long Island. They kind of came up in like the early 2000s, like around that like New York scene with like the Strokes and like the Meet Me in the Bathroom crowd.
Right.
But they're from Long Island. They're killing it. And then we have a band called I Love You, I'm Sorry, which is our good buddy Andrew Krolikowski, who is actually the lead singer of the band Yankee Longstraw that I was on tour with when I started Gamblers. So a little, kind of full circle there. So it's going to be a great night. Tickets are available via our website, gamblersmusic.com. And, we hope that we see as many people as we can that night, and we'll have our new vinyl available. So, yeah.
Yeah, those are all Long Island bands. So Long Island, show up. Let's show New York City how we do it Long Island style.
Right. That's right.
Jimmy will buy you a drink if you say you heard about it from the Shark.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good incentive.
Jimmy Nation's
come
gonna
up
be
to me
strong.
and say, the password is, you ask me if I'm drunk. And then I answer the question and buy you a beer. No, the password is I want to be a part of Jimmy Nation. And I will, I don't know if I'm going to commit to buying it. Fine, I'll buy you a drink if you ask me to join Jimmy Nation.
Jimmy Nation.
We'll put it on the band card.
So when you guys aren't making music together, do you have any other outside hobbies?
Johnny's a winemaker.
I make some wine. Yep.
Wow.
And I hang out with my cats a lot.
I work with plants, and I'm a big, I burn a lot of time watching old movies that aren't even good, but I'm just curious. So, it satisfies that curiosity. I do a lot of things, but mostly it just comes back to showing up to band practice over and over and talking about what movie I saw last night.
I like professional wrestling.
Well, that's a good hobby.
And I'm waiting for my Yankees to start.
All right. Well, guys, I'm very excited about the new album coming out. Gamblers, it's called Pulverizer. It'll be out on the 29th. How can fans follow you?
We got a website. I don't know if people like that. It's gamblersmusic.com. You can go there and find tickets and music video links and stuff like that. And we got social media. Y'all hear Instagram? We're on it. Gamblers Baby. You could also see our show flyers and pictures of us.
Jimmy does a lot of our artwork, so.
Oh yeah, hashtag Jimmy Nation. If you type that in, it'll also get you some good results. And I do some of the artwork, the ones that are good. What else? How else do people get in touch? And that's it. Our record's coming out. It's going to be everywhere. Follow it. Go pre whatever you do on Spotify. Pre-save.
Pre-save it. Yeah, you can. And
there we go.
You're also on Bandcamp. You're all over.
Yeah.
Hinge.
No, we're on Hinge.
All right, but I think it's like to close with one final thing. Like, what advice would you give to somebody who's going through any difficult times at the moment?
I would say try to avoid doing anything drastic. Like try to keep your mind intact. Like don't run away to substances. And I'm not a choir boy by any stretch, so I'm not telling you how to live your life. But I would be careful with that. And just lean on your friends and family if you're lucky enough to have, good people around you. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't keep everything bottled in. Don't try to pretend it's not happening. Just kind of try to keep a level head as much as you can and take it day to day. The one thing for me, like I stopped drinking about almost 4 years ago. And actually in a weird parallel, like that has helped me with grief, in the sense that, like I said, I think my equilibrium is in a much better place without alcohol to be able to deal with something. But also I know what the day-to-day thing is of one day at a time, because I, quit drinking, and that was extremely difficult for me. So dealing with grief is also a one day at a time thing. That's just me. I could only answer this from my perspective, but that would be my answer.
Cool. Yeah. I would just add to that. Anytime that I've gone through some things, most of us have. We've all gone through some collective things. And I would say a strange thing I look at when I look back at times I've gone through that are hard. These are high energy moments, like times where something big changes in your life that you weren't expecting. That's hard to deal with because it's a lot of change all at once. Mike mentioned grieving. I think there's always grieving when some new change happens we weren't expecting. Grief is important to address. We talk a lot about post-traumatic stress and things like that. There is a chance for post-traumatic growth as well. When you get hit with something heavy, often it's an opportunity to sort of wake up. It's an opportunity to start over in a lot of ways. Traumatic things are usually at times of change. So like something is dying, but a new thing is being born. I would say that is maybe a way to find a little hope during times when that are low. It's like, wow, okay, I don't know what life's going to look like now. It's new. And I get to kind of participate in what my new life is going to be after this change. So yeah, there's also a lot of creative energy in those moments. And it might not feel like it until a long time later. So something worth putting through.
Those were some great responses. Guys, thank you so much for chatting with me about the new album and life and everything in between. I'm wishing you all the best of luck. I'm glad that we're all here together to do this. Hopefully I'll be able to come see you guys play live soon.
Thank you so much, Jamie. This was great. Thanks for having us. Thanks for continuing to support. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate it.